Hello and welcome. I'm Karishma Sudani and you're watching Business Today Television. For Akasa Air, it's been a little over a year since it has begun operations. Since then, the company has grown its fleet by 24 aircrafts currently. In January early this year, the much-awaited triple-digit order was finally signed at Wings India. Akasa Air and Boeing announced the signing of this order, which includes close to about 150 aircrafts. As of now, Akasa holds a market share of close to 4.5%. The Indian aviation market is growing, with domestic air traffic reaching close to about 1.26 lakh passengers in the month of February alone. Now, to talk more about this and of course Akasa's flight path, I'm joined by the founder and CEO, Vinay Dube. Vinay, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Karishma. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, you're making your foray into the international skies starting next week, something that you'd been very keen on, in fact, in our interactions previously. Tell us about your first international route and what is the schedule like?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. International is something that we have been keen on since inception. And I think, as you know, we've spoken about this before. We are the only Indian airline, again, in the history of Indian aviation that has made this international foray in about 19 or 20 months. So we're very, very excited to once again, reset the standards of Indian aviation. Our first destination, Karishma, is Doha, and that's one of many. We start in just a few days. And we're very excited because this is just the dipping our toe in to begin with. We're thinking of Riyadh and Jeddah and Kuwait as starters, and then over time we'll be flying over other parts of Southeast Asia, other parts of the Indian subcontinent. Very, very excited about this.
Great. Other parts of Southeast Asia and continents that you were looking at, do you have a phase 1 and phase 2 destinations list that you had planned? I remember that of some names coming out last year when we were talking.
Yeah, it's not quite as discrete in phases. Clearly, the allocations we've got for traffic rights for the winter season, if you want to classify those as a phase, you may. Although, like I said, we don't look at it quite as discretely. And those are Doha, Riyadh, Jeddah, and Kuwait. Beyond that, as I said, we're thinking of many other Southeast Asian and Indian subcontinent countries and cities as well. But it's going to be fluid. There's no distinction. The good news for us is our assets are movable. We can have them fly a little more in the peak season in some areas, a little less, in other areas. Seasons tend to be complementary. And that's the nature of our planning. So I'd say not phases per se, but certainly many, many exciting destinations in the future.
Okay, great. Will you tell us and sum up how was the last quarter like? I mean, the current quarter, we know that it started slightly on a turbulent note because of the pilot's issue.
Yeah, actually, that wasn't the case, Karishma. Our pilot issue, so to speak, was in the months of July and August primarily, with a little bleed over into September. That is well behind us. We had, in fact, what I would consider a record December quarter, and we are experiencing a record March quarter. Let me explain that, because this is, this bodes well not just for Akasa, but this bodes well for the entire, industry as a whole. And so the kind of unit revenues that we're seeing are fundamentally at a completely different level. Compared to what we have experienced as an industry previously. And as we had said before, Akasa's financial foundation is rock solid, whether it was, June, July, August, September of last year or today. We've got this initial investment. We're cash flow positive. We haven't spent even a rupee of our initial investment that's lying safely in the bank. And what this current December and the ongoing March quarter means for us is that the entire aviation industry and Akasa certainly can expect an even brighter future. We think over the course of the next 5 to 7 years, capacity is certainly going to be doubling or more than doubling. But I think what we're seeing now is that it's not that this capacity will double, but that profitability will continue to increase for the airlines as well, which is exactly what you want. You want a healthy, vibrant aviation industry, and this for us really is entering into what we call the golden years of aviation.
Right. Vinay, I'd like to just get back to this. Are you telling me that Q4 for Akasa has been the best in revenues?
On a relative basis. So I will tell you that Q4 is a seasonally weak quarter for Akasa, as it is for the rest of the industry. But what we're seeing this season in what is traditionally a seasonally weak quarter, we're finding that our revenue production is much better than what you would normally expect in a seasonally weak quarter. Of course, there's no chance that the March quarter for us or anybody is going to have better results than the December quarter, because the December quarter, the June quarter, these are seasonally strong quarters. But what we're seeing here in this March quarter, as we saw in the December quarter, was just exceptionally strong loads, exceptionally strong yields, which, by the way, is not just reflective of us and what we are doing to continue to improve our financial future from a very, very strong base, but it's just reflective of the Indian economy. We're seeing disposable income increase, we're seeing per capita income increase, we're seeing urbanization increase. All these metrics that are very closely linked to increase in air travel demand, and those are just playing out even better than we'd ever expected them to.
Yeah, I would agree and resonate with you on that. The government is also confident with their GDP numbers, especially with how they've turned out to be for the last quarter. But Vinay, tell me, on the pilot shortage issue, on the operational side, is that completely done and dusted?
Yeah, Karishma, 100%. And what I'd like to do is give you some numbers because, sometimes old news tends to get regurgitated and people forget. Today, we've got 700 pilots. Okay. And for a fleet of 24, 25, anybody, who has an, operation background can do the math. So we've got enough pilots today to be able to fly twice the number of aircraft that we have. And this is for us the kind of planning that we have built a reputation on. We are advanced planners. We always plan for the future. We have contingency planning, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to give you a sense, of these numbers, but these are also reflective of the fact that Akasa genuinely is building an employee-centric airline, right? Where we hope people want to come work for us, even though we are, India's newest and fastest growing airline, that we're finding that pilots genuinely want to come work for Akasa, which we don't take for granted, by the way. We come to work every day making sure that we can make all employee groups happy and look for, improving ways for that. But just want to tell you, by the numbers, 700 pilots today, and we've stopped hiring pilots as of now because we've got plenty.
Great. 700 is a good number. In fact, it's more than what you were promising last year. But tell me, on a lighter note, are you happy with the new flight duty norms that have been rolled out by DGCA? June is the date of implementation, of course.
Yeah, Karishma, so I would say happy, sad, upset, ecstatic. These aren't emotions that I have when it comes to, regulatory or safety-related items. My view in general is that Akasa prides itself on its governance. Akasa prides itself on our focus on safety, and we work very closely with the regulator on all matters related to safety and governance.
Okay. When in terms of your fleet order book, and in fact, the number 24 is what currently you are on, and you plan to take this to 50 by the end of this year. Are we on track?
Yeah, no, Karishma, I'm not sure where this 50 number comes from. We had never planned for that. And 50 would mean we need to get, 25 aircraft in the span, of the next 12 months. I would tell you that was never the case. That was never the plan. And if you were to go back and bring back every one of my interviews, I don't think you would ever hear me say a number even remotely close to 50 by the end of the fiscal year 25. So that's certainly not the case and far from it. We have stopped giving, to be very candid, we've stopped giving guidance on number of aircraft that we plan to have at any given point in time. I'd just say that, no matter what our aircraft is, you should look for our capacity. So it's, typically for airlines, capacity is available seat kilometers, tens of percentages of increase. Now, whether it's 50%, 70%, 80%, I don't think it matters, or whether it's 210%, I don't think it matters. Just know that Akasa has been and will continue to remain India's fastest growing airline, in fact, the world's fastest growing airline. And we're proud of that. And by the way, we're proud of that not because, we want to grow for the sake of growing. We're proud of that because of the opportunities it creates for our employees. We're proud of that because we're participating in India's, economic growth and economic development. That's the part where we have pride.
Vinay, you're being cautiously optimistic. It's India's fastest growing airline, and I'm sure when you talk about the number of aircrafts, okay, let's not take a number, but I'm sure you do have a tentative target in your mind.
So, Karishma, I'm not cautiously optimistic. I'm exuberantly optimistic. I think, to be honest, I think for the next 10 years plus, Indian aviation as a whole, on the backs of India's economy, on the backs of some of the policies our government is working on, just look at the investment that has been made in aviation in terms of the number of airports that have been built. It's other parts of the economy. There's nothing cautious about my optimism. I want to say I'm sort of exuberantly optimistic, about what the next decade holds for Akasa and the aviation industry as a whole. So I would say we're going to grow gangbusters. And I can't use, it's a bit of an American phrase here, and I apologize, given some of my background and exposure living outside of India. But I don't want there to be anything cautious about my optimism ever related to Indian aviation or Akasa.
Okay, great. Vinay, one quick question as we come to the end of this interview, and this is more on the supply chain issues. As you know, a lot of passengers across the globe are being apprehensive on boarding Boeing 737 MAX aircrafts, and these are due to, of course, recent incidents across different countries. You have a triple-digit order with Boeing. Does that put you in a state of dilemma, skepticism, or is it all good to go?
Yeah, it's all good to go. I mean, we wouldn't be dispatching a flight if we didn't believe it was safe. In fact, just keep in mind that every certificate of airworthiness is being issued by the FAA. They wouldn't be issuing these, if it wasn't safe. So I want to be unequivocal about that. Having said that, Karishma, clearly, whether it's Akasa, whether it's our competitors, whether it's Boeing, whether it's Airbus, all of us need to continue to remain vigilant and hyper-focused on aviation safety. I can't make a stronger statement than that. And I would hope we have that focus, and I want Boeing as a manufacturer to continue to have that focus and continue to come to work every single day thinking, how can we make our skies safer? So on the one hand, I want to be unequivocal in terms of the safety that we are setting today and that we are flying today. But on the other hand, I want to continue to support all the incremental and increased measures of safety that are being implemented as we speak.
Great. Vinay, when we started this interview, you did talk about the rock solid financial foundation. My last question to you, and this is of course on the financials, where do things stand with cash burn at Akasa?
Yeah, I would say that today we are cash flow positive. So I wouldn't want to, talk about Akasa's financial foundation in any way associated with the term burn. Because burn means if you started with X amount of equity investment, you are today sitting on a cash pile that is less than X. Right? That's what burn means. And today I'm telling you, and I've been saying this, month after month after month, but somehow I think I need to keep repeating it. If we started with an X equity investment, today we're sitting on X plus in terms of our cash, right? And so that's the financial foundation that we're talking about at Akasa. And this is going into what we think is a decade of what will be record profitability for Indian airlines across the board. And so that's the reason why, I'm extremely optimistic, and not just about the current state of finances for Akasa, but the future state of finances for Akasa as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Vinay, for joining us on this chat, and we wish you good luck for your first international flight to Doha with Akasa.
Thank you so much, Krishna. Appreciate it.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.